Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Salam Media. It's now 7 minutes past 8. Well, we're going to be on to the Formula One segment this evening. It's been a jam packed week. We've had team announcements, we've had teams giving clues about what we can expect in their camp this season, the changes to cars. We've had Fernando Alonso taking a massive crash, and not in a car for that matter, actually a bicycle crash. And how could this impact and affect his season and his team season? Well, to tell us all about it, we're going to be joined by Salam Media's finest Formula One analyst, Yusuf Saib. Yusuf, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening this Friday to join us.
Walaikum salam. No, it's only a pleasure. We haven't actually chatted in a while, so it's good. I'm happy to be speaking with Mr. Zakir Dawud himself.
It's been a minute. Yusuf, straight into it. I mean, we've got the former Formula One champion, Fernando Alonso, that's undergone surgery for a jaw fracture earlier this week after he was involved in a crash that happened in Switzerland. Team Alpine announced this earlier today. I mean, could this be a massive loss to the team, or could this drastically impact the team building up towards the 2021-22 season?
Yeah, so I believe that he's had a surgery to the broken jaw. There were obviously statements and comments made by the team that Alonso is fine and he's doing well, and he's probably in the phase of recovery at this moment in time. But I suppose with any injury, you've got to give it a bit of time, and then you can really see what the effects of it could be. So at this moment, he could be fine. But once you jump into a Formula One car, we start talking about pressures that come with driving a Formula One car, from the G forces and the strains that these drivers take. So I'm pretty sure that he'll be going several medical tests and examinations on a continuous basis from now up until the preseason testing gets underway, which I believe is to be from the 12th to the 15th of March, or 13th to the 15th of March rather. And just do a constant evaluation of him, because I mean he's also not been in the car for quite a few years now. So with this sort of setback in a small way, it's it's definitely not what he's been looking forward to, or anybody else for that matter. But nonetheless, freak accidents do happen. Sometimes you'd expect them to happen in the races itself, with these drivers doing something like 320 kilometers an hour, and then, as you quite rightly mentioned, there was a freak accident there with the cyclist, and it does happen. So let's hope he's okay, because I've been looking forward to his return. I've actually been quite a fan of Fernando Alonso, and I still want to see just how if he's still got that edge to him.
No, definitely, it's going to be quite interesting. I mean, let's go from one champion to another. I mean, Lewis Hamilton announcing obviously earlier today that he has re-signed. However, he's re-signed with Mercedes AMG. However, for one season, for 1 year. I mean, that deal just sounds a bit odd. What is your thoughts on signing 1 year with a team? Do you think that he has other intentions for the future?
I think the oddest part of the whole thing was the fact that it happened so late. I know that Lewis tested positive and for COVID, as well as the team boss of Mercedes, Toto Wolff, and that obviously delayed negotiations a bit. The idea obviously was for them to wait for the season to complete last year, with them trying to wrap up both drivers and constructors championships, and then put the focus on the championship and Lewis's contract. I still would have expected it to have been wrapped up in December, at least late December, and then the entire January went, and we're now in February, and that's when the decision was made. So I tend to suspect that Lewis and Mercedes haven't quite agreed on everything as yet. But obviously, given the fact that the season now gets underway next month, they needed to sort of put pen to paper, because Lewis was already listed as an entry for this season's championship. So Mercedes and Lewis effectively had no other choice but to get some form of a contract underway. And I think that's partly the reason why it's been a 1 year deal. It's because they haven't exactly been able to fully decide on everything. Now, whether that's got to do with the contract itself, as in Lewis wanting more money, and you know there were so many rumors going around. Lewis wanting an increase in the salary and wanting to keep some of his or one of his Formula One cars, um, and a few other you know uh, rumors. I'll put it down as rumors because as
Mm.
long as you don't hear anything from the team, as in the team actually make a statement, it's just rumors. And hearsays. Well, I'm a lawyer. I would know hearsay. Never holds up. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I think fundamentally the difference would come down to what the vision of Mercedes may be and where Lewis may be. It just could be stark contrast because last year we had George Russell that stood in for Lewis, and I think if we recall, George did quite a fantastic job in that one race that he had. So we don't know whether Mercedes is also looking at the youngsters and trying to ensure that they get George Russell in that car and what the future of the team will be like. So I suppose this 1 year deal is sort of gets them where they need to be, which is
Mm.
Lewis and Mercedes still for this season and trying to continue the dominance. But I suspect the pressure is going to be on them quite early on into the season, and I think everybody's going to want to know what happens from next year. Will Lewis still be with Mercedes? Will Lewis be looking to do something different away from the track? Mercedes trying to get George Russell in. So there's a number of things that will go on, but I suppose that will sort of start to reveal itself as the season gets underway.
No, definitely. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is obviously hot property right now, being a Formula One champion and also being a brand that many cars or many teams would want to be attached to because of the commercial value that he does bring to their team.
Mm,
Talking about teams, we've seen a rebranding this earlier this week that's seen Racing Point swap over to Aston Martin. Plus, they've
right.
announced the arrival of Sebastian Vettel. I mean, come on, what a week for Formula One fans out there. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian being a four-time world champion, Racing Point getting the backing of Aston Martin, obviously the owner Lawrence Stroll, trying to ensure that the longevity of the team and trying to obviously get the best while doing that. I mean, you've got Aston Martin. We certainly all know the pedigree of Aston Martin, what they're all about, and then we've had the opportunity to see Sebastian Vettel and the career that he's had. As I said, four-time world champion. Of course, if you look at Sebastian in the last 3-4 years, you'd say he's sort of a former shadow of himself. He's not, quite the Sebastian Vettel that he is. But I look at it and I say that he's still a full-time world champion. He still knows how
Mm.
to win, and he still would know how to win drivers' championships. I think a different environment, because I think the relationship with himself and Ferrari became quite toxic, especially towards the end. And in many ways, I think he would be looking for that clean break. And he's got a different team that he goes to now with different engineers and a different way of working. And it could potentially be a recipe for success. We say potentially because, you know, you can have all the right ingredients, but doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the best result at the end of the day. It still requires a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication and motivation. And then, Mercedes is still at the top of the field. And Red Bull is quite hot on their heels as well. So, but I think it's a different venture for everybody involved. Racing Point, obviously, taking on Aston Martin, not just rebranding, but the money that comes with that, and obviously we'll have a different livery in terms of the colors now. We should see that green, the famous green of the Aston Martin. Nice touch there. I've seen the redesign of the factories as well. So yeah, it's all positive, looking good for them. And we hope that they have a very good 2021 season debut for them, Aston Martin.
No, it's definitely going to be a phenomenal season that we can look forward to. Testing will be taking place in just a few weeks' time. Jam-packed news. We do know that you're going to be keeping us up to date with everything happening in the Formula One world, with the build-up to the new season. We do know there's been a new adjusted schedule that has been implemented by Formula One. But Yusuf, that's it that we have time for this evening. In the future, I mean, every week from now, we do look forward to speaking to you because we know that there's going to be news breaking every week, and who knows, this is tipped to be one of the hottest Formula One season that there's been in a long time.
Can I just ask you a question while
Sure.
we I mean, the season's yet to get underway, pre-season testing, but who's your money on for the season?
Look, it's going to be quite an interesting one, but I'm definitely going to be backing Lewis Hamilton. Obviously,
That's my guy.
how can you not back him? Let's be realistic. I like the jacket you have on there, and I'm sure I know where your loyalties lie too.
Loyal to the core, loyal to the end. So we Mercedes all the way. As long as we are on the same pitch, the same team, that means Salam Media is on the same team. So go Lewis Hamilton. Let's hope he brings home an eighth World Drivers' Championship there for us.
Well, I need to be careful what I say on air because we do know that Salam Media pushes fair and a non-biased journalism. But Yusuf,
Of
thanks
course,
for
of
your
course,
time
of
this
course,
evening. I look
of
forward
course.
to chatting to you as we build up to the season. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
That's Salam Media's favorite Formula One analyst, Yusuf Saib, giving us the breaking news in Formula One this year. If you've missed it, you can catch it on Salam Media's Facebook platforms and all of the other social media platforms that Salam Media does put all their content on. Quite an interesting week in Formula One. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Suleiman Moden. He's going to tell us everything about the Proteas and what's happening in the cricket world right now.